doing well and getting better. Take care of yourself, my friend. And always, Andy with Livin Loud will be coming up very soon after this. Tune in for Andy's show. And tune in 2 weeks, and we'll have some more fun with Kicker Car Audio and audio in general. Thanks, guys, for showing up. Thanks for your support. And thanks again, Neil, for the crown and the plaque. It's good to be the king, as Mel Brooks said in History of the World Part 2. So, thanks, guys. Good night.
You know, John, I don't have a crown, but I got some trophies. Excellent job, by the way, on the UnMasked show tonight. You knocked it out of the park. And Ernie and Colin, you did great. No cameraman, but hey, you don't need a cameraman. We got all these switches. Either way, thank you guys for watching Kicker Unmasked. And now we're ready for the Unmasked after show. And I had one heck of a weekend. And I got a lot to talk about. Appreciate all you guys. Sean Richardson, car audio enthusiast, Chad, everybody tuning in, Jason Grant. And I had to throw up right here, Jason Grant. It's not going to throw it up for some reason. But thank you so much for the $20 super chat at the end of the caboose. He missed a ticket, but thank you so much. And without further ado, let's get this show on a roll. See you guys in 3 minutes. Man, I really gotta turn that autoplay off, huh?
Okay. So we're kicking it with Andy, right? You know what that means. We living loud.
Appreciate you guys. And John, I'm going to answer your question. I got it. And I feel like a lot of people have that question. Is the L7X just that superior? Or can the L7S work just as good? We'll find out. Appreciate you, Chad. And you guys are awesome. And, yeah. Let's go. Man, the tracks, we're not that old. We are not. And music never fades. And neither does bass, neither does car audio. And I feel like we're going to be doing this stuff at least for the rest of our lives. I don't know about live streams and YouTube, Justin, but you never know. Hey, if it ain't broke, I ain't stopping. Appreciate you tuning in, Justin. Appreciate all you guys hanging out with me tonight. And yes, only Roy Obsidian rebase tracks. You know, I love the rebase music that is just like, wait, this has bass? That is the best, because sometimes there's a lot of music that just needs a little bit more wasted information, and it's going to sound amazing. But either way, appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope you had fun on the UnMasked show, and appreciate that you're here tonight hanging out with me. And I missed you guys Friday, but between going just on the Gateway Clipper with Kayla and Meca car audio competition this weekend and finding out some news that I'm still thinking about exactly what I'm going to do with that news, and good news, but still, nonetheless, man, it's been a crazy weekend, and I'm just happy to be back on the mic and hang out with you guys and talk about Kicker and just talk about car audio. And if you guys got questions, drop them down below. But again, just like I said in the beginning of the show, Ernie, John, and Colin, you guys did great. And I know you can run into a little bit of audio troubles doing live streams, let me tell you. And good old StreamYard. That's why we are not on StreamYard anymore, just because Ernie put so much into that show. I seen it with my bare eyes, and you guys see it every Tuesday, just the quality. And StreamYard's good. It is good, but it has limitations. All right, cool. Let's see. Gotta say hello to everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Uncle Bobby B. Appreciate you, sir.
Uncle Bobby B, baby. Uncle Bobby B.
Uncle Bobby B. You know the name. There he is. Appreciate you, buddy. Let me see. I need to turn this up. Yeah, there we go. We just need to turn up the gain a little bit. It's not that I'm rusty, but everything's just kind of sounding a little bit quiet, and I don't know why, you know? And how do you fix that? You just turn up the gain some. Thank you for tuning in, Bad Customs. Appreciate you. And, man, you guys are awesome for hanging out. All right, cool. So I did want to talk about this. Sean Richards' comment in Kicker Unmasked, and John asked one of the guests on there. I'm going to forget their names. There was 3 awesome guests. They did great, by the way. And I think it was Blaine at the end. I remember that name because that vest, that just the whole vibe, I was loving it. He needs to do some live shows at his stereo shop. But he was asking him this question here. With one Solo X12 or 15, will it out-hit 2 L7 15s? Try to get Solo X hopefully in springtime. Now, like John said, there's a lot to unpack with this question just because it depends the variables. They brought up the airspace, and when you're designing a setup, you know, you figure out what you can fit in there, and then you pick the subwoofers that will fit in that area. Well, when you get a Solo X18, you just throw it in there, and then you figure out the rest. And that's kind of what I did, and then it wound up taking up the entire vehicle. But still, let's just say that you have, you know, all the airspace that you need. You got an SUV, 2 15s, L7s, or a single L7X15. You know, we'll just say size for size, the same thing. Which one will be louder? Which one will be better? And I feel like on the low-end extension only, the L7X15 could outperform just a little bit, maybe. But those 15s, by having twice the amount of cone area, can make up for that. But then the L7X15 having pretty much twice the travel of a single 15, it almost equals out to be the same. So it doesn't just come down to bore and stroke, it also comes down to efficiency too. You know, with just how that L7X is. Say you only have 1,000 watts, maybe it might make more sense to run the 215 L7s rather than the Solo X single, because maybe it might just be a little bit louder on less power. But not saying that the L7X is an inefficient driver, because it is. It doesn't take much power to get that guy moving. But still, compared to the L7S, definitely is. So I feel like which one would be better? I feel like with the higher notes, the 15s are just going to be able to walk on it. You know, it's just, you don't need all that travel to play higher frequencies in most cases. So it's just, you got more cone area. And with the lower frequencies, I feel like the L7X might just be able to nudge out those 215s in the right situation. But bore and stroke, baby. Bore and stroke. Appreciate you, Sean, and I'm happy to answer your guys' questions. This is why I do what I do here. And yes, he's going to throw it in his '06 Honda Civic 4-door seat, not around 36 hertz. Right, you know, in a hatchback or, well, the 4-door, that's probably a trunk. Ah, man, I would probably go with a single 15 just so that you can have enough airspace to be able to build correctly rather than trying to fit two 15s back there that need like 6 to 12 cubes compared to a single 15 that needs like 5 to 6 cubes. So that's where they were just talking about the airspace. What do you got? And, you know, a bigger box, smaller box. If you can do more with less, that's the name of the game, man. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate you. All right, let's catch up on the comments. And, yeah, man, I appreciate you guys. Beastie was legit. Thank you again, Jason Grant. And I missed that one on the... I literally pressed end, and there's like a little 5-second cutoff. I'm like, no, I missed Jason. I missed him. All right, let's see. Oh, yeah, I wanted to do that. There we go. Cool. Okay. Any chance we can discuss... Oh, this is a good one. Impedance rise this evening. Box rise. And man, that's a good topic. That got me in a little bit of trouble when I first started going to the Meca competitions, I'll tell you that. But still, I went and learned a lot more about it, and it is a real thing. And a speaker, that's just what it does. Is it a real phenomenon? And can it limit your power output? Well, the reason why it limits the power output is the speaker has an impedance curve, and it creates resistance from the mechanical, I guess you would call it acoustical suspension, you know, of just the pressure being built up between the enclosure and just the natural properties of the driver, just moving with the electromagnetic power being generated inside the motor, creating resistance and just a lot of factors. So whenever you hook up your subs, you know, dual 2, dual 4, say you're at 1 ohm or 2 ohm, and that's just at rest. And as soon as you start applying power to that, it totally changes. It 100% does. And then whenever it starts moving more or less, and when it's in a different enclosure with different pressures, you know, forced upon it, it's going to have more or less resistance pushed against it, creating less power. So that's why people say, oh, it fights box rise, certain amps. I hate that because it doesn't fight it. You don't want to fight it. It's just something that happens naturally, and different enclosures are going to have more or less across the bandwidth that you're playing. So whenever you're getting into this, it's like, man, yes, an amplifier can do the same power at 2 ohm and 1 ohm, and that's great because the CX1800 does that. It's not a Slash, it's not a Smart, but it almost acts the same way, where it really could make, you know, instead of 1800 watts at 1 and 2 ohms, it could make 2600 watts at 1 ohm, but the board isn't designed to do that. Really, it's an 1800 watt 2 ohm board. So to limit the current, that's what it does. And there's, you know, just a lot of technology into those amplifiers so that it only does so much power if you happen to dip down below that. Really, you're just running, like I said, a 2 ohm board. If it's a 1 to 2 ohm, same amount of power, Slash, Smart, box rise, fighter, amplifier, that's all it is. It's really just that ohm, and then the one below it, it's just, it's not really designed to do 1 ohm, but can it handle it? Yes. And that's the idea, and that's what's so cool about it. Box rise, man, let me tell you, there's a lot to get into it when you're competing, you know, and maybe you want a little bit less because power isn't a problem. You can just keep dumping power, and you would rather do that and or not have to get bigger amplifiers and put up the same number in your vehicle, which is another enclosure. So there's a lot that goes into it rather than just what we think and hear about and see on Bassheads on a Budget or any kind of Facebook group where people are complaining about it. And it's like, it's just, it's a natural thing. And if you ever just want to just take a look at it and see how just the impedance curves, the resistance, the box rise changes on different frequencies, you'd be surprised, man, how much power you're really making when you're really loud in your car. It's usually around the least amount of power, and that's the cool thing, man. It really is. Thank you, Bad Customs. Appreciate you tuning in. And if you guys got questions like that, man, I'm happy to answer the ones I feel comfortable explaining, you know, because it's just I want to help you guys out. And I sit here, I do all this stuff thinking in my head, I can't sleep at night. That's why. And I love what I do. I appreciate you guys with the comments and the questions. Blake says, box rise is real. It definitely is real. It's frequency dependent and not something you need to worry about unless you're competing, to be honest. 100%. And even then, you know, it's just, say if you're not even competing, but say you want to, you know, get more power out of your amplifier. Okay, well, what is my rise normally with the frequencies that I play the most? And then you can kind of look at it from there and be like, okay, well, I have this dual 4 and I have it wired at 2 ohms and I'm rising here and here. If I would get or just even the dual 2 and wire to 1, or get a dual 1 and wire to half, you know, whatever the situation is, to figure out, is that amplifier ever going to really see too low of a resistance? And that's when amplifiers either go into protect or they blow up. The cool thing of, you know, kicker amplifiers is the quality and the circuitry that's built inside to keep that amplifier from blowing up. And I would tell anybody, like, they're going to do it anyway. I hate saying, oh yeah, run at half ohm. I did it today, you know, 0.67. But it's like, if you're going to do it with a kicker amplifier, because if it's not going to work, it's going to tell you, hey, no, turn that down. Too much current on the output section. I don't like that. Rather than wasting $500 on an amplifier that maybe does twice the power, but then blows up, you know, and that's, nobody wants to lose money. Trust me, in car audio or just in life, you don't want to lose money. And who knows how good that warranty is. It might have been, you know, 2 years after you had it, and then you tried half ohm and then the amplifier blows up. And it does happen, unfortunately. Appreciate you, Blake. Tell them how it is. What's going on, Ashy? Appreciate you, sir. Appreciate you. Let's see here. It was an awesome show. It really was. It really was. They always do an awesome job there. 100%. It also output dependent. Impedance rise drops as the excursion increases. The only way to know the exact impedance rise of your system is by testing. And right, and that's just like TS specs whenever they measure that stuff. That's with 1 watt or, you know, 2.83 volts, whatever it is. Not really moving. And, you know, to test things like that, it's like, okay, well, like I was saying before, you know, to have an idea of how much your rise is to wire lower, you know, if you want to try that, it's just like, okay, but now that you're wired lower, you got more power, so then your rise might start to drop. Your amount of impedance, just resistance, is going to drop because you're adding more power, moving that driver, like Blake's saying. Bingo. Bingo. Blake, I love that he's here. He tunes in, man. This guy works for Digital Designs. You actually see him on the shorts and the videos, man. Very, very, very knowledgeable guy. Appreciate you so much, buddy. People running amps not at final impedance would be interesting in that, though. Blake, Simon Staley, thank you for tuning in, sir. Appreciate that you are here tuning in on Facebook. Appreciate you guys, man. Hope everyone's doing well. You know, I wanted to do a show about all the Meca stuff on Friday, but I'm like, you know what? This is fresh. I want to talk about it, and you guys got good questions, so I didn't even get that far, but we got a whole hour anyway. Thank you for tuning in, Nilo. Appreciate you. And I got to meet Nilo Williams, man, and I didn't even know who you were right in the beginning. You're like, hey, Andy. I'm like, hey, what's going on? And then I seen your car, and I'm like, dude, that's that guy. That's so cool. And all the way out in Columbus, Ohio, but hung out with us at the Meca car audio event out in Jefferson Hills, PA, literally right down the road from my sister's, which is crazy. And just got to meet him, check out all his gizmos with his temp sensors and just everything. Like, it's another thing, just like Sparked Innovations, NGA, just stuff that's designed for car audio, guys. It's techie, and yes, we are all a little geeky. It's okay though. We're nerds. It's a good thing to be nerds in car audio with that stuff, 100%. And awesome meeting you, man. And glad I got to give you a demo, Cookie Monster. And speaking of which, I actually do have a few videos that I have pulled up here. And if you saw the last video that I just uploaded, not the battery, Green Team knows about that. About the walkthrough, you got to see Nilo get a demo here, and I got a little clip of him in this one as well. But still, man, these shows are awesome, and I can't wait to do Team SP Loud again. I'm letting that one out of the bag. It's coming back next year, 110%. But either way, let me show you the video of Meca and a few other things too, man. And appreciate you, Nilo. Let's do it. Let's see. Bop, bop, bop. There we go. Now that is Earl right there. He's the owner of TC Customs that owns that place. There's my buddy John. And this is Soda Pop here. He is always tweaking and tuning his setup and doing big numbers, man. 100%. 160.77. Let me turn this up a little bit here. There we go. More gain. Look at that. Literally just flexing everything. BT.
Modified.
We got to pause. We got to pause on that. Thank you, Brian Townsend. Oh, I just muted my own music.
Would you look at that? Oh my gosh, just look at it. Just look at it. You got to look at it this way, okay? You just got to look at it. That's all you can do anymore.
You know what? That's what you got to do. You do got to look at it. Thank you, BT. Appreciate you gifting the memberships. We're up to 114 Green Team members. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate your donations. And Nilo Williams as well with another $5 super chat. How's it going? Would you look at that one?
Well, would you look at that? Oh my gosh, just look at it. Just look at it. You got to look at it this way, okay? You just got to look at it. That's all you can do anymore.
You know, he's got a point. You do got to look at it, and appreciate you, Nilo, for that. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you, man. Guys are awesome. Let's see. Much appreciated, good sir. Appreciate you, Dubby. Anson Adams, thank you for tuning in. What's up, Kicker family? And speaking of Anson, and they talked about it on the UnMasked show. Yeah, they're doing another one of those giveaways. Make sure you guys go enter. You got a few more weeks. Kicker.com/giveaway. Go enter. I think you can enter so many times a day or something like that. And $2,500 shopping spree. I know, Anson. Yeah, they rigged us. It's all right. It's all right. We started the motion. We got the ball rolling down the hill. Thank you for tuning in, man. I appreciate you. Choke Change, what's up? Thank you for tuning in. Doing well, man. Doing well. Showing off Meca's show this weekend where I competed with Cookie Monster in 2 classes, in SPL and dueling demos. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. So let me pull this up here. I'm going to keep going through. Let me see. Make sure I didn't miss. Okay. That's good there. Okay, cool. I'm going to pull this. Okay, we got a lot of questions here. Man, I wish I had John, but it's late for John. All right, let's play this. This is the run, my run in Modified 2, which is a wall class technically, but under 3,000 watts of cone area and power.
2 class. Competitors stand by. Ready. Set.
4986.
Hell yeah. There's Nilo right there. There's Nilo right there getting the sauce of Cookie Monster. And we did. They should have put me in your class, man. I'm not that loud.
Now I gotta turn
That
my
little
engine
guy.
on.
That little guy loved it. Right there was right after I did dueling demos, and I didn't want to start my car because, you know, the whole setting up your phone Bluetooth thing. I'm like, you know what? Let's just give them a full send demo on just the JY40 batteries. And I seen someone comment on it. They're like, oh, don't buy JY batteries. They're terrible on their warranty, and they don't answer messages. I've had those batteries forever. They were my first lithium batteries, and you just run them like you're supposed to. You shouldn't have any issues. And I don't know, man. You know, user error always seems to be the negative light of any product. And, you know, if you can take care of them regardless, then it doesn't matter so much. Let's see. Okay, cool. Let me keep playing with this. We got a little bit to go here. There's John. Check out this right here.
Would you look at that? Would you just look at that?
16
Just look at it.
kickers.
Just look at it. Just look
That's
at
the
it.
mayor. John Harabic with his 16 kickers. Here's Mr. Seth Duffy here, just flexing
Nilo
26
Media.
hertz.
This is a Nelo
Here's
Media
Nilo
MVP,
showing
so
off
it's a
his
mobile
stuff
video
real
player. It's
quick.
an Android device where you can get stuff, anything off a Play Store, like anything.
Yeah.
Almost.
You know what I mean?
Almost, Kyle.
Of course, I have my new app on here, the Nelo Vision app.
That's cool. You always be doing some crazy stuff, man.
I want to get one of those watt meters, Jason. I really do. Here's Soda just slinging out some demos here. Soda there, he's got, I think, 8 amplifiers now, 8 8Ks on 8 American bass X-Max Monster 12s, and he's literally clamped 8,000 watts. Me and John's favorite song. And right at the end there, that was the owner taking a look at the ST series. Like, he was just walking and, like, came back and looked at it again. And like, oh, wow, would you look at that? That sounds good. That's only 2 speakers going there on the mid-drives, mid-range. And, yeah, he has an entire different system, but he wants to start to run the L7Xs and the Street Series. And we're going to have some cool things in the future with him, man. It's going to be interesting. But, yeah, and the dueling demos, I wish I would have got footage of Nilo's street class, but I didn't do that. I was so nervous. I was like, I got to get ready. I'm up next. I am up next. But I do have footage of the dueling demos as well. Andy and I need a PC tweak and tune session. What's going on? What happened now? Is it not running good? Let me know. Oh, no. I'm always doing tweaking and tuning. But yes, you know, a checkup from your doctor is not the worst thing in the world. And the last video I want to show you guys is here. This is who I went up against for dueling demos. He had so many speakers. So many speakers. 4 15s and 2 20Ks. And then here's Soda. I knew I was going up against Soda. And then my run's up next here. Thank you, Dubby. He's seen the video. Definitely gonna get a copyright. I don't care. That bass. Oh, I don't know if you got a surround system, but if you had a surround system, you could literally hear and feel that bass. I wasn't as loud as those other guys, but I had people come up, man, that sounds so good. That sounded awesome. Like, you could hear everything. And I know once you get so loud, it's really hard to start hearing everything anyway because it's so loud. But still, I sat at my old location of Team SP Loud, and test for 6 to 7 hours on top of whatever else I did during the week, and I got it to sound amazing. And those STs, man, people were like, man, I want to get those, and they weren't even running kicker, man. It's like, how do you get your mids to sound like that? I'm like, dude, it's just, that's what they are, and they sound amazing for what they are as being a mid-range driver. And that's Steve Irby. That's Steve Irby, man. He's never going to make a product that's just, oh, it's just loud to keep up with the bass. No, it's going to sound good too, man. And thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Yeah, and almost a 150 at the headrest, which was, I was impressed. They were like, oh, what do you do? Because you got to wear headsets. You got to wear like earmuffs. Well, maybe not a headset. Yeah, I'll put my studio stuff on. When you're over a 150 in the car, and I told him, I was like, oh, I'm like a 49, and I thought I was going to do like 49.3, 49.4, and it did a 49.86. I'm like, okay, let's go. And I kept doing it. I was like, no, I'm not going to get that 50. There's no way. And I didn't, but still close enough for headrest. Headrest is the hardest. That's literally on the driver's seat on like a 20-inch podium, 20 inches from the glass. Like, that's it's pretty much whenever you give somebody a demo, but you put them in the pressure seat. That's Meca headrest. And I do the same thing for Team SP Loud for multiple reasons, but it is a good way to judge rather than the kick or the glass. The kick is cool, you know, high score, whatever, and it still shows you how loud your system's going to get. But, you know, not too many people are putting their head down at the bottom of your car getting a demo, you know. The headrest is where it's at, but still, I was happy and it did good. And thank you, Cracker. Appreciate you. And Dan, glad I got to see you, man. This is Street Guy and SQ, hangs out in Meca. This guy's been world champion, just awesome dude. Charles Simon is hardcore for DD. Appreciate you, Dan. I'm glad I got to see you too, man. Thank you for tuning in. That's awesome. Would you look at that? Would you just look at that? Ah, yes. Soda Pop had the best SQ in my opinion. Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you. You know, and that's what I was going for. I didn't realize that Meca changed their ways of the dueling demos where it's, you know, not just like what sounds, it's like everything. You got to have, you know, just more bass, more whatever. I would have picked a different song. I'm like, man, my song is not like their songs at all. But I had fun, and it was well worth it. Thank you, Nilo. I appreciate you for that, man. 25 takes a rifle to the toilet. Where is 25 at? I have not seen 25. Are there any good royalty-free bass demo music for videos? If you go on this channel here, go to my playlist, and they're actually old tracks from either DB Drag or USAC and Music Monster. Go check them out. I got everything, but it's just one frequency. It's for competing for Park and Pound and just, you know, stuff like that. But 6 minutes of just constant bass of that frequency, which honestly is pretty cool. Eventually you get kind of sick of it and then you need something else. But still, there are other ones too, but I don't know. Royalty free, that's tough. You know, honestly, finding royalty free music that's good is hard. And then ones that have bass is even harder. If you check out, there's some synthwave stuff that I use. It's not bass tracks, but they do have some bass into them. Not this stuff. A little bit has some bass, but not all of it. I'm listening for whatever else, not just the bass for this. But Harris Heller on YouTube and Spotify, he has a bunch of uncopyrighted music that you can use, and check out the synthwave stuff. It's like, you know, BPM music, and it has some bass to it, Shoop Dog. Appreciate you tuning in, man. Thank you, Dan. Thank you. That's why I was like, man, I ain't gonna beat Soda with just the output and the sound, but if I can beat him with just the quality, I got a chance. And it's okay. It's all right. I know what to do next time. Maybe. I still probably won't win, but it was fun regardless. First time doing dueling demos, and yeah, I gotta get more of that 360 sound. And I wonder, I gotta think about it. If I put speakers on the outside, I think that'd put me into the modified class rather than street modified. And that's the whole thing with competing. Just there's so much about it, and you really have to design a car that is for that class, you know? Walking in there, it's like, yeah, I did good, but I could have done better if I would have designed a car in a different way of the system to fit in that class, and the power and just everything of how it's designed, and maybe not 33 hertz. It's awesome, though. It is respectable, but I mean, a Solo X in that car, I could probably do a 54, 55, but it'd be at like 47, 51 hertz, really far up there, man. Thank you, Jason Grant, for... Oh, now it's working. Would you look at that? Now it's working. I don't know what happened. It wasn't working for a while there. I'm like, come on, man. Thank you, Jason Grant. This is great. For the $5 super chat.
Would you look at that? Oh my gosh, just look at it. Just look at it. You got to look at it this way, okay? You just got to look at it. That's all you can do anymore.
Thank you, Jason. Again, appreciate you, man. Thank you for supporting the channel and always just being here, hanging out. Like, just... all you guys don't have to support. You don't. But by being here is supporting, and I see you guys hanging out from the beginning to end, and I love you for that. But thank you especially, Jason, for just doing what you do, man. Thank you, buddy. Soda Poppin' got a 160 point, what was it, 2 or 7? 160.7. He used to be able to get a 162, 161.9, and he's tried different subs and amplifiers. He wants me to get him on kicker, but I'm like, listen, I can only do so much, but with Soda Pop's build, we got Nilo here and Dan. Tell me that I'm wrong, that with what he has, square kickers would just inherently get louder just because he got no more room left, just more cone area, and he's got all the power to power the neighborhood. And what kicker brings, you know, we've seen it in Carlos's build with a tiny sealed enclosure in an SPL environment on 20,000 burps. I feel like with Soda Pop's build, it could work, and they could hang, and they would be loud, and they wouldn't maybe need as much power as those American bases that he has. I don't know, man. You know, that's just my thinking, and yeah, I'm team kicker, but dude, I feel like Soda really does need that, and I think he could probably get that 62, 62 and a half, maybe even louder with that same setup, you know, and he's changed it so much. But yeah, Soda Pop has been just popping since the 90s, man, just competing, getting louder, and never stops. Let's see. Tom Brown. Ashy, I heard, is plays a mean. Okay, there were some other questions up here earlier. Audiophile on YouTube has some good stuff for the rebase non, or, you know, just bass music, non-copyright. Audiophile. I will have to check that out. Miami Bass for Life. I feel like Miami Bass for Life and, like, you know, Bassatronics, I feel like that's all copyrighted stuff. But still, you know, good bass music, man. Thank you, SJC. Appreciate you. Jin Carey, thank you for tuning in. Good showing at the competition, bro. Next time, turn it up on them. You're telling me, man. The gain was up, but, you know, running the Warhorses only at 2 ohms on each one on a daily setup is so much nicer. I'm not worried about, oh, man, am I going to burn my coil in 5 seconds compared to running it on the 10K Warhorse over here, and I was able to get a whole dB and a half louder across the board with that amplifier in that car, you know, and I'm clamping 36 to 3800, you know, on the same frequency compared to 2300, you know, and that's where you get that extra bump. But yeah, I wasn't careful the first time I threw it together, and I was giving my dad a demo, and I didn't have everything kind of dialed in to match up with a whole brand new box and the 10K amp, just kind of, you know, full sending it. And next day, it went within, like, just metering it, like not even getting up to full potential, and it blew up on me. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me, you know? And then I put the new one in, and I babied it and took it to slam, and it was okay. And that's the one I'm still running now, but still, like, I don't have to worry. And then, too, the old Warhorse, with its technology, was a little bit harder on subwoofers because of the push and pull and back EMF. And with that, and just, you know, the Warhorse, it's a 2024 amplifier. You know, it's just 15 plus years of technology advancements, and it works. 100%, man. And, could have got a 51 maybe. At least 50.5. I think that's what I got headrest with the Warhorse 10K, was a 150.6 at the headrest, 151.5 in the kick. So either way. Thank you, man, and I'll have to turn it up next time. Bring the big 10K. I can't wait to hear my 7-inch ST drivers, Andy. Also 10 6.5 mid-driver components and 8 ST bullets. Be careful on them bullets, sir. Be careful. I mean, they get loud. I literally have mine with a gain knob like all the way down. You know, it's like a smidge up, and it can go like a whole quarter before it starts lighting up saying I'm clipping, because that's what's cool about the KXA 400.4s. They got a light up gain knob you can see when you're clipping. It's really nice. Gain way down, way down, and they are loud and they sound good. And I mean, if you got a lot of bass, yeah, you might need 8 of them, you know. But again, you know, just keep that power where it's supposed to be. And you really don't need that much power either for higher frequency drivers. You just don't. If you've ever clamped a mid and high speaker, you'll see it doesn't pull much power, and it's just blaring. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but still, it's like you don't need much power for that. Can't wait to see it though, man. I can't wait to see it. Let's see. I think this was, yeah, I got to highlight that to be on. I forgot to click that. I got to click that every time I do that. So if you super chat, it automatically throws it up. Even if I'm just rambling here, it will throw it up for a little while before I even get to it. Ashley, so he plays the accordion. Oh, 25 is here. 25 is here. Thanks for tuning in, 25. Hope you're doing well, man. Dan says maybe, but he'd have to rebuild the box with less airspace. His current box is set up for those air-hungry woofers. Well, the cool thing about the L7X or any kind of square kicker, you know, is just, I don't know exactly why it's this way, but they do work in smaller enclosures and also bigger. You know, with the L7X, I have my 12 in like 1.8, or is it like 2.2? I forget it. After the port, it's like 3. So it's a lot, and that's why I get a lot of output right around my tuning frequency, give or take, and it's really efficient. But it's a little bit on the peakier side. But man, I don't even care, because it's just dumping floating towels on both sides on a single 12. Doing 48.5s at like 32, 33 hertz. It works. And I feel like, yeah, he could make some tweaks. But, you know, Soda, I mean, you just cut out the little circles, make them square, toss them in there, and see the difference. And then, I mean, yeah, sure. Check out all the numbers. You definitely do want to do that anytime you are switching up drivers, is to take a look at it and look at the specs to see what do they require. And also have a box designer that has all the software. Now, the software isn't going to make it loud just right out the gate, but it could give you an idea of how well it's going to work. And that's how they kind of figured out all this stuff, and how the box enclosure design software calculates things of just how things work. So it is a good idea to take a look at it and do some tweaking, some changing. But I don't know, man. I know how much space he's kind of working with there. And I feel like even just slap it in there. Maybe, if anything, make the port a little bit bigger too, because you're adding more cone area. More, just, I wouldn't say much more bore and stroke, because those X Maxes go pretty far, but still, you got more cone area, so that port area might need to be a little bit bigger for that same size enclosure with those drivers that move more mass. I don't know. But thank you, Dan. I appreciate you, man. we just hope the best for Soda, man. We'll get him there. Agrees. Solos would probably do really well in his ride. He's an old school guy like me. We come from the legendary team Livewire. That's, yeah, when his car was yellow. I hear all about that. And I know Soda used to run Kicker back in the day. Soda's going to be watching the show like, man, these guys are just talking about me the whole time. Love you, Soda. But still, you know, he had 415s in a, I think it was an infinite baffle kind of setup in his car, and he loved them, you know. And then he went with the power acoustics and all the other kind of stuff. But still, right, old school as it gets. And that's why, you know, Kicker is expensive, and I know how Soda is, and, you know, he just going through woofers and amplifiers like it's water, but it's like, man, I feel like with all the money you've invested over the years, and now that kickers come back with all this stuff, it's a no-brainer. Now it's out there, you know, and he's got 12s. They're out there. Go to kicker.com, local kicker dealer, Showtime, wherever you want, and they got them. Now, you don't have to run the Warhorse amps right away, but I mean, hey, either way, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Run I think the Stetson amps he's got now, and those will do well, and just go from there. Stetson, or no, it's the other one. Is it Stetson? I forget which one. Either way, we'll get them right. Thank you, Nilo. That's awesome that you known Soda for that long, and to hear that you were, you know, world champion in Meca in street dueling demos, you know, and get any kind of compliment from you or just to meet you and all you guys it's an honor, truly, honestly, and I appreciate that you're here tuning in with me and hanging out. It's awesome. Let's see. Chad. Andy, I don't even know how long I've been live for. 45 minutes. I am booking through this. Andy, I've got a 2004 Chevy Silverado extended cab that used to have Bose system, but I took everything out and want a good setup in my truck all around for driving and competing. Competing? I would guess that would be competing there. You know, dailying and competing, you know, if you're really going to make a competition build, it's got to be that. But if you want to go in there and have fun, put up some numbers and learn just how bass works, how SPL works, and just, you know, make your system better, then, you know, there's so many options in that case. And I feel like that's majority of the population. You know, you're going to have your 5% that just specifically build for competitions, and then they don't drive that car, they don't use it, they don't listen to, you know, their music on it. It's just a burp car, and those ones are going to do literally the best. But there's a lot of work that goes into that, just like a sound quality build, making it, you know, perfect for the sound quality judges and on the RTA and just everything, rather than just what you naturally like to hear. There's other things involved as well on both sides, SPL, SQ. So to blend those two together, it's like oil and water. It's really hard, but you can get a nice blend together where it's not just leaning one way or the other, and it's got a nice just... It's a daily, but it puts up good numbers. And I feel like that's what I've always tried to do. And every time I get into the competing side of things, it's like you get upset, you get beat by some guy by 3 dBs, but then you look at the frequency in the build, it's like, man, that's why. And that's what I'm exactly talking about. But either way, man, with the extended cab, you know, he took out the back seats. I feel like you got a lot of options back there now. I would definitely go custom box with any kind of truck whenever you got, you know, not a lot of space, but you got more than you normally would, other than making a blow through. But that's a whole nother, there goes your truck bed, you know. But you get what I'm saying, is just, you don't have to worry about the under-seat down-firing enclosures or the custom ones that fit underneath your seats. If you don't have anything back there, you got a little bit more space than you normally would, and it'll definitely sound good and work. I mean, yeah, you could do all kinds of orientations. Trucks are a little bit different than cars, too. Sub-forward, port to the driver's side if you're thinking a little bit about numbers, or, you know, maybe just sub-forward, port up. And it all depends what you're trying to do, how big that enclosure is in that cab of that truck, how it's designed with frequency ranges of what you're trying to play and the subs you're trying to run, just making it all work. And that's the hardest thing, but we have fun along the way. Man, good setup. I would go at least just start out 212s. Make it simple so you got enough airspace back there. Sub up, or sub up, port to the driver's side, and I think that'll just look good, it'll sound good, and it'll do what you're looking for, man. Thank you, Chad. Appreciate that you're here. Let's see. I'm so far behind on the comments. It's okay, though. I have the KXA 400.1 stout little amp. You know, I always wanted that one. I got the 4-channel versions, but, you know, to have the little guy and all the DSP functions and stuff that's inside of that is, you know, it's cool to have, man. Thanks for tuning in, Ashy. I'm liking the way how championship motorcycle audio duels compete. Each of the two have 1.5 minutes to play their own tracks, and judges decide tiebreakers, open air environment. And that's kind of what that's literally kind of what dueling demos is. You get a minute and a half, and I mean, they do judge you on a few different variables with 360 sound, treble, mid, bass, and crowd reaction, and song choice, and if you're, crumping like soda or not, I ain't doing all that. But right, and whenever I first did my first ever stereo competition, it wasn't even with the meter. It was exactly like that, where it was just an open air environment, and it wasn't even a judge. I mean, it was the people, and it was going by like the crowd reaction, and that can be rigged too. So that's why you do want to have judges as well to be like, oh yeah, no way, that guy just brought more people. But in the right situation, it's pretty cool to do it that way too, because then it just goes by shock factor, awe factor, and just what sounds better to most people. And you'd be surprised, man. A lot of people don't mind clipping, unfortunately. As long as it's loud, that's good. That's good. Thank you, Choke Change. Appreciate you, sir. Very similar to dueling demos, Choke Change. Completely ditched SPL since I started doing the format 3 years ago. Right, and whenever you're designed for one class, or not even class, but just format of the league, it's hard to just be good at all of them, jack of all trades. It's hard to be that, and you got to design it for that. Because then if you design it for, SPL, it might not be good at dueling demos, It's going to be real peaky. It's not going to have a nice flow and just be balanced. And you're not going to be able to put speakers where you want to put it to be in a certain class, because it's going to put you out of that class because you built outdoors or you didn't, and you put them here, you put them there. It's the best thing, man. I love it, and it's a challenge. It really is, and I love watching how you guys just do all that stuff, man. Just looking at it and learning. That's the best way. And, it's a lot cheaper that way for you. Let the guys that got a lot of money do all the work. See what works for them. Watch what they do, and you will learn a lot. You really will. Thank you, Nilo. We just look at you, and we learn a lot from you. Dan Art is an SQ magician. He is, man. I think Dan Art was the very first SQ system, professional SQ system I ever heard. Let's see. I would be sent to the other. Okay, Kyle. Kyle, you know what? I'm not helping you in fantasy football anymore either, man. I helped out Bubba. He beat me. I helped out Kyle. He beat me. I'm done. I'm done. 0-2. It's not looking good. No more help from Mr. Magoo. Let's see. Ashy kept the boss. Meca State Finals. I'm hitting Michigan. I know this guy literally, you need to get 45 points to make it to Worlds, 25 for states, and he just started. He had 0 points when he came in, but you got to get 45 points, and there's still shows up until Worlds in October, so he can still get those points. He just has to travel to all different states: Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Indiana. And, if they're 3Xs, which they should be at the end of the year, should be able to get that 45 points, no doubt. Good luck, man, and God will towards you. Not that you needed that much. Sounds awesome, man. Honestly does. I'm like, man, when I was hearing Nilo's SQ setup, of the dueling demos, I'm like, man, he's got a lot more mid-range, mid-bass coming out, and it sounds clean and good, and it's a lot coming from stock location speaker locations in the doors. I'm like, man, that's really good, and that comes down to DSP and tuning everything, and of what that driver can handle with the amount of power that's applied to it. It's a lot to it, man. Really is. Nice. That's what I did. 4-door crew cab with back seat delete. I'm married to this truck now. Yeah, I mean, with car audio and bass, once you start taking out the back seats, it's getting serious. You gotta marry her. You gotta marry her. Man, whatever happened to the same tracks for all the competitors? I've heard of that. That's before I ever got into stuff. Right. It was literally the same thing for each person, you know, and even in like SPL classes, like it wasn't like a burp, you know, like I would love to pick somebody's brain, bring him on the show. I want to get Soda on. I've always talked about it since I first started this, but like been in the SPL league of just competing since day one, man. And just to hear all them stories. And I know just from talking to people, Soda and a lot of others included, that have been around for a long time competing and how things have changed just between like the biggest thing of the meter difference. Guys were doing 50s and they were actually doing 42.5s, you know, and just how things have just escalated with the amount of woofers and power and clamp classes and just everything's different now. It is kind of crazy how everything's changed, and now you can play any kind of music you want, and you don't need to play the same thing anymore. It's crazy. My truck needs deadener, something serious. Bad sounds like I want to cave in. Means you're getting loud, man. That's all that means. It means you're getting loud. You know, with some cars, you need more sound dampening than the others, and some other ones, you don't need as much. You really don't, because it's just built better. With lower frequency vehicles, I would say up to a certain point, obviously. But compared, like, SPL versus SPL, 140 dB car at 45 hertz versus one that does 140, whatever, at like 30, 35 hertz. The rattle is different. You know, you're not rattling the plate as much as you would at 45. Or I don't know. It all depends, you know, but once you get so loud, it just doesn't matter. But with the Eclipse, you know, when I had 212s in a sealed box, it sounded terrible on the back end. Now I have the L7X12 in there that's louder, peaking at 33, and it's not bad, like at all. Like there's no sound dampening in there still. But there's like next to no trunk rattle. It's just the trunk is lifting, you know? And that's why every vehicle's different. Thank you, Trap House, for donating $5 super chat. I appreciate you. I got to pull that up here. There it is. There it is. Would you look at that?
Would you look at that? Oh my gosh, just look at it. Just look at it. You got to look at it this way, okay? You just got to look at it. That's all you can do anymore.
You know, I'm not going to say it again, but I will. He's right. You got to look at it. Andy, would you choose a Kicker Solo X15 or a B2 Audio XM315? Might need a new box from SDK Enclosures. Green Team stand up. Car audio enthusiast is coming, fam. Thank you, Trap. Appreciate you, man. And a B2 Audio XM3. You know, I know B2 Audio, but I don't know all their drivers. I'll look it up right now. B2 Audio XM315. Let's just take a look at it. Not eBay. Is it the Rampage? No, there it is right there, but it's on eBay. D2 Extreme Musical. That's probably it. 4-inch coil. Wow. Okay, so that's going to be like night and day difference, buddy. Well, you can't even see me now. What the heck? I'm over here. So a 4-inch coil is going to need a lot more power. It's going to be able to handle a lot more power. And I'm going to leave it at that. You know, it's really hard to say, oh yeah, just grab the L7X, or oh yeah, just grab that. It's very different, where that driver can probably handle like 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 watts continuously clamped like all day. You know, it's a bigger coil. It's not just a coil size, layer size, motor, heat dissipation. There's a lot that goes into it, but just inherently it's going to be able to handle a lot more power and need a lot more power, and being designed that way might need to be a little bit heavier, you know, or just is heavier, and it's going to be a little less efficient, you know, watt for watt, and how much more bore and stroke, you know, and it's not just that either. There's so much that goes into speaker design, but I feel like with the L7X, you're going to be louder with less, like just night and day. Now, every design is going to be different of what is going to be better. Are you running 16 of them, or are you running one? If you're running one, I'd definitely go with the L7X. But if you're running 16 of them, maybe that one will work because you don't have that much airspace to fit 16 L7Xs, and they might require a little bit more airspace, but those work better in a smaller enclosure and need more power. There's so many variables. for me to you personally, I'd stick with the kicker. Just 100% honest with you, especially with all the stuff been going on the interwebs and stuff. Like that's all right. That's all right. That's okay. Either way, it's a good product. I'm not gonna say it's a bad product, but 4-inch coil. That's a step up there, buddy. That's a step up. Appreciate you for that, man. Appreciate you. Let's see. SJC is a big fan, but he ain't talking about car audio. What the heck is he talking about now? Okay, there I'm up there. Let's see. Dubby. Oh, come on now. Would you just look at it? That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do, Dubby. Appreciate you, sir. Annie gonna be the wooden... Oh, no. You know what? I'm done. I'm done reading comments. I'm done reading them. Did Soda Pop change his system? This week or last week or the week before? He changes it a lot. I'm sure you know. He changed the amplifiers. He was running the slaps. And he clamped like 1,000 more watts, maybe, than the slaps. I think with the Stetsons. I think that's what that is. Either way, I think the woofers, he's had the same recently. I know last season that I seen him compete, he had like the Tarantulas. I don't know. They weren't very good. He was doing like 58s, like a big drop. Now he's at least still doing his 60. And with the American base, I think they're the X-Max monsters. They got the blue around them. It should be the X-Max, which are awesome subs, man. The 15s are good for sure. I know that from JR's build. He was doing 155 or 154 and 153.7 at the headrest on 215s, clamping 6K in a Scion TC, and it worked. And that's pretty good, like that's not needing a ton of power, but still really loud, 30 plus hertz, wasted information. Dan says, tuning is hard, especially with the DSP, and that's the thing too. I see myself going in circles with just like basic setup sometimes of like, okay, I need it here, I need it here, I need it here, with just certain band EQs, it just covers everything. Whenever I was messing with the Kicker IQ 1000 or the 500.2 for using it as an amplifier for the mids and highs, I didn't even get into like left and right separation of different crossovers, of different, not crossovers, but different, EQ just positioning. I just kept it same for left and right. But I had, more bands on the EQ compared to like, nothing on a stock head unit. It's like bass and treble. There was no mids. So I was pulling out some mids so I could just push out, all the power without, distorting the sound and making it ring and all that stuff with, doing the wrong thing of trying to get more with less and pushing it way too hard, but without doing doors and, a ton of speakers in the car, my daily family car. That's kind of what I was set up against with a quad box doing a 150, 151. Hard to keep up with that kind of bass, especially at 47 hertz, man. That is just right in your freaking head, and it's hard to hear any of the music. Lower frequencies, I feel like it's a little bit easier to cut through the bass with just higher frequencies, and maybe that's just physics. I don't know. I don't know. Less rattling's going on. I have no idea. It's just my opinion on it. But whenever you get a DSP, things can get really confusing if you don't know what you're doing. And with Kicker, at least they started to implement stuff with like their key technology stuff where it gives you a clean signal 20 to 20 with a key lock. That's not like DSP we're talking about here with tuning and all that stuff, but still a DSP nonetheless that's taking a bad signal and recorrecting it by like 12 dBs or whatever for a stock system or any kind of system that you want to have a clean signal at your source going to all your equipment. Now with tuning with a DSP, I could just imagine. And then if you're using it with an RTA, like you should, of testing, where are the peaks and the valleys and the nodes and my left and right separation and staging, left, right, far right, like all that stuff, you really got to know what you're doing. And then you take it to a shop and hopefully that guy actually knows what he's doing too. And his sound sounds good to you too. You could be sitting there all day making it sound amazing for one song. You go and play something else, it sounds terrible, And that's the thing. I feel like no matter how good you are at setting a DSP, tuning with a DSP, you're never going to get it to sound amazing on every song, just period. Not saying that the music's like, recorded terribly, but just it's all over the place. You literally have to make, just small, accurate adjustments for each kind of song in a way, just to get the most out of it in general. That's my opinion. That's not fact. It's just my opinion on it. I feel like, no matter what radio I'm using, whatever I'm doing, it's like, if I'm really trying to make it sound as the best it can with this song, I got to change some things. And with the DSP, it's a lot more variables than just a few EQ sliders, time delay, all that stuff. It gets crazy. Thank you, Adam, for following on Facebook. Appreciate ya. SQ is all on the same tracks. Okay, so at least they got that. That's good. That's good. That's good. And I wonder, how many tracks do you have to choose from, Dan? I'm on Paracoat right now, 25. See, I'm jealous. Of course. Say what, Kyle? Okay, there we go. We got Trap House, a super chat. I'm starting to catch up. John Throne, a super chat, or the little look at it guy. Thank you, John. Appreciate you tuning in and taking care. I'm surprised you're up. You're up late. What are you doing? Thanks for tuning in, though, man. Let's see. Kyle loves Bile. I mean, I believe it. Man, we are at 1:05. I'm going to answer a few more questions, and I'm going to let you guys go. I'm pretty bad busted up right now. Hopefully at the end of my bad luck streak. I hope you're feeling better, Ashy. I really do. Nilo says, back then we would just play musical tracks for SPL until folks realized it was one frequency in that song getting you the best number. First 170 happened around 2000. Now guys are doing 180 plus. And that's the thing, man. I would see guys in the lane, Meca, Team SP Loud, whatever, and they would just play music, and it's like you're waiting for that one note to hit. That's your number. And that's what they did, and that's crazy. And then I wonder, how long it took for you guys or those guys to learn, okay, that's 44 hertz. We got to build it around here. And then, boom, we get it every time. And, I feel like that would limit what vehicles you could use and the orientations of just how things line up in the vehicle to make that SPL. You know what I mean? Like if you're talking like, big SPL guys, like they're doing 180s, you're talking 69, 70 hertz plus, way up there. And if that song track is like 44, you're kind of stuck with like having, a certain amount of, just gap to have with, what is it called? The wave, quarter wave and all that stuff. Just enhancing the wave to extend so that it just makes it meet and kind of peak together where the meter is. That's kind of the point. And that's where it's like fluid dynamics, but like physics and just frequencies and how they just match, and you have valleys and nodes of just, they cancel each other out. And to make it work the best, I feel like being stuck at that one frequency, you're stuck with a certain amount of length. You know what I mean? A certain amount of length from that meter. And it's crazy how far we've come with this stuff, of where we can do any frequency we want, any vehicle we want within reason. And it's a journey and a mystery of learning everything about car audio, because you're never really going to know it all. Thank you, Nilo. What gauge wire fit into Solo X12 and 15, Andy? I think that's 8 gauge. Yes, they take up, or no, 4 gauge. Yeah, 4 gauge, I think. Let me take a look. You tell me. What camera do I have here? We got 1, 2, 4. Does this one work? Might want to use this one too here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 4. It looks more like 8 though, to be honest with you. That looks like 8, but it's got 2 inputs for 8. I know the Warhorse amplifier, I think is it 4? I think on the Warhorse amp output section is 4. I don't know. I run 8. That's what I use, and I think it would have to be 8. Yeah, it would have to be 8, because the Kicker KXA 2400 takes up to, I think, 12 gauge or 10 gauge for the amplifier, and I have a hard time fitting the 8 gauge in there. And Yes. And that's the thing too with gauge wire for like speakers. You're not using that much current. And that's the main reason why you need bigger wire. Now, if it's going a long distance, say your amplifier is in like the front of the car, subwoofers are in the back, maybe you need 4 gauge wire for like 5,000 watts, you know, of that. And just the amount of current that's going through from the amplifier, which might be like 30 amps, you know, or 40 amps. And maybe the 8 gauge, you might have a little bit more voltage drop. I don't know. Like it's I feel like a lot of it's overkill when you see guys using 4 gauge wire. I think it's 8 gauge wire. It's got to be 4 gauge wire, and it's going from their speaker and then their amplifier output section 2 feet away, and it's like a 6K amp. It's like, why do you need all that? Like you could get away with like 8 gauge, or honestly probably close to 10 gauge, just because the current is very low, you know. And maybe more so with guys that are wiring down lower in amplifiers that are able to do the amount of power, like say they're wiring at 0.17 and their amplifier can handle half ohm, and you know, it's whatever board and it's 60 volts, but it's, you know, at half ohm would be 120 amps. So maybe they do need more, and that would make sense for that case and that case only, just because it's current. It's not the voltage, it's the current and the distance. That's the big tall tale of how big of just wire you need for your speaker. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate you. Man, you guys had a lot of good questions tonight, and I appreciate you. Okay, 8 gauge. I don't know why I was thinking 4. I was like, I know they went overkill on it, but still, you know, 8 gauge does make sense for that. You know, 2,000 watt driver. Yeah, I wouldn't put 20,000 to it all the time, but still, they properly. Thank you, guys. I'm just, the day is done between just work. This weekend's been a lot. I was tired today. I was like, man, I'm really tired. And then as soon as I turn these lights on, I get everything going. I get some energy, but still exhausted. And we had one heck of a show tonight. I appreciate all you guys hanging out with me this entire time, and just being here, hanging out. Depends on the org. Meca is 12, ECA has 35, and ISAC has 15 different song tracks. Okay, so not too many to pick from, but then you don't have to, you can dial it in for all 12 of those songs for Meca. And even there, you might have some challenges of, is it going to be the best for these 3 and maybe not these ones over here, and vice versa, but still, you kind of know what you're going up against, and then the judges know what to listen for. That, I think that is the main reason why it's like that, is so the judges know what to listen for, the depth and just the sound and just the frequencies and just all that stuff. And it's interesting, man. I would love to get into SQ2. I mean, I feel like I learn about it, but I never built like an actual like SQ system with like, you know, components and mid-range and DSP and soundstage and all that stuff. I will eventually, you know, but it's still like, man, I am that guy. I'm going to throw in 212s and I'm going to ruin that, you know. I'm going to ruin it, Dan. You know, I'm going to turn up I need the gravy. I need a little bit of gravy. I don't want JBL or Bose sound of gravy, of just extra bass for no reason. But I like that little bit of warm bass, the warm sound. And I feel like that's what drew me into car audio, was the warm sound. And literally the goosebumps. My hair is going up right now. My hair. I love his stuff, and I know you guys do too. That's why you're still watching and tune in all the time, and I appreciate you guys for that. You guys are weirdos just like me. Ashy, Jason Grant. I'm going to have to make this font a little bigger. I'm having a hard time reading it, but I could see a lot of comments at once, but I can't read any of them because I'm blind. Phone is going to die. Great show. Later, my dudes. See you, SJC. Appreciate you. I will need that consultation. Appreciate you. Also use ferrules for more protection. You heard the man. You heard the man. And, cool. I did want to just show, you know, we had an awesome time Friday. Sorry, I missed you guys. Oh, wrong camera. There we go. I missed you guys. Me and Kayla, I took her out for her 29th birthday on the Gateway Clipper, and we had a blast. You know, dinner and a boat. No movie, but we had fun. And if you're ever in Pittsburgh, go ride the Gateway Clipper. It's like the Titanic, a miniature version of the Titanic. But we had a blast, and she had a good birthday, and I drove Cookie Monster out. I took her out. I'm like, listen, we're taking a carriage tonight, hon. We're taking a carriage. Boom, 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 boom. Let's go. And we had fun. We got stuck in traffic, but I annoyed them with bass, and we had fun. And love you, babe, and happy birthday. And I will see you guys Friday. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for watching the UnMasked show and tuning in, and appreciate the Meca guys here, Nilo and Dan hanging out, and everybody that always tunes in, man. Can't forget about 25. And, well, we got to throw it.
Make it rain.
Make it rain, 25. Appreciate you guys. And as always, stay living loud. I will see you on the next one. And, yeah, see you Friday, actually. Stay living loud.
Okay. So we're kicking it with Andy, right? You know what that means. We living loud.
Looking for some good music on SoundCloud, look up Taylor Siraki. It's my dude. SoundCloud. Oh man, but free music. It's got some bass. Absolutely, CAE. Appreciate that you're here, man. Shoop Dog, all you guys, Kyle, Cracker, Jason, and Garrick. Love you guys. Gets me every time. Appreciate you guys. Man, you guys in these kickers, you could see all the things on fire going up the screen. I love it. I love it. And listen, the caboose is up for taking because Cornet is MIA. Probably 30,000 feet up or 30,000 dBs in bass right now. And Jason Grant, we gotta give it to Jason Grant. Greatest host and greatest place to post. Love you. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate you guys.